Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. We were having a discussion. Are you Mr. Regan or Mr. Reagan?
Regan.
Oh, we were right. Yay!
Great.
Your office looks very interesting.
Yeah, like a basketball not going through the hoop.
Yeah, I've got a lot of toys around here. I've got my basketball for lunchtime. We have a basketball hoop out in the parking lot, so I get to play. And I like having the basketball hoop in the office to remind me that, sometimes it's okay to play around. I have crayons. I have baseball for when my son comes to visit, and lots of little toys. Toys are good.
Toys are good.
Toys are good.
Now, what we talked about so far, Mr. Regan, is we talked about consumer reports, and we actually looked at one. This might look familiar.
Yeah, that one is familiar. I have the latest one right here.
Latest one, yeah. And we talked about how you are unbiased. Like
Yes.
you're not rooting for one product or another. And
Right.
that you test products. And we also read in here that you do surveys where you ask people who have the products questions.
Right.
And you rate things based on things such as how reliable it is or if the price is good. So we talked a lot about that, and we're making products for 8 and 10-year-olds, and we will be pricing them out. And we're in the middle of building them right now, but we're not sure exactly what to do when we go to test our products or what questions would be good questions to ask our consumers about the products to see how well they like them.
Right. Okay. Like you said, we do a variety of different things from testing many of the same type of product to surveying people on things that they've already bought. We might survey over 1 million people a year, from everything on the car they drive to the TV set they watch or even the computer they use. Now, because you're only developing one product per child or per student, is that correct?
Some of us are working by ourselves, some of us are working in partners, and some of us are working in groups of 3.
Okay. But you are only developing one item
Yes.
for that subgroup, let's say.
Yep.
Okay. So you really don't have much to compare your one item against unless you're developing many prototypes. Prototypes are different examples of, hey, I want to make a bicycle. Should I make the wheels this big or should I make them smaller? You might make several attempts at getting that final product. But I don't know if you're going to be doing that sort of thing or if you've got just one item and that's it.
Right. But what we're hoping to do is if we test something and it's a glitch, then we'll go back and rework that.
Okay. So if you start with just that one item, testing can range from talking to the students in your classroom to other classes within your school and getting some feedback from them. If you give them the chance to see the item, if they get to use it or play with it, to record the feedback from those students and say what they like and what they don't like about it. You can start there. When we survey, we will question people on if they're happy with the item, if they felt it was worth the money, if they would buy it again, if it was dangerous in any way, if maybe it didn't work as intended, if you were selling a chair, did it work as a chair? Or did it break? You have to start with some basic information from those people that might be using your product.
Okay. So we should ask whether or not our consumer is happy with the item, if it was worth the money, if they had the chance would they buy it again, whether or not it was dangerous,
Right?
and whether it worked as intended.
Right. You want a lot of feedback to help you make your product as good as it can be. Safety is always the most important thing. If the product is not safe, you don't want to say it.
Okay.
So if people turn around and say, I hurt myself with it, or I was afraid to use it because of whatever reason, you want to listen to what they say and make your product better and safe.
Okay. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? No? James? This is James.
Hi, James.
Are you a video gamer?
I not really. I try. My kids are much better at it than I am, and I've kind of given up on trying to keep up with them.
So maybe you could test those someday. But
Oh,
let's
sure.
think about product testing right now. Okay. Now, are there any tests that we can do in the classroom? Like, should we run trials to see how they work, and how many is an appropriate number, or how does that?
Absolutely. I know in your email you mentioned something about it was a bicycle basket.
Yep.
Okay. Who's working on the bicycle basket?
Okay. That. Katie and Sarah.
Hi, Katie and Sarah. Okay. Now, with the bicycle basket, do you have a size in mind?
Not really.
Is it for
Okay.
a child's bicycle or a grown-up bicycle?
Maybe like a medium-sized bicycle.
Did you hear Katie?
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Medium-sized bicycle. So mid-size.
A mid-size. Yep.
Okay. All right. What types of items would you say want to put in this basket? Is it for a cell phone? Is it for a soccer ball?
Okay. Can you say that louder so Mr. Regan can hear you?
Maybe a cell phone and a water bottle.
Okay, that's good. All right. So what you can do is, using that as your basic idea, come up with a few designs, and then see what fits better on the shape of the bicycle you have. Do you know where you want to put this basket on your bicycle? Is it going to be on the front? Is it going to be on the back?
It's going to be on the front.
On the front? Okay. Now, if you can create some sort of prototype, an example about the size you were thinking of, and put it on a bicycle, you could have classmates try to ride the bicycle, probably not in the classroom, maybe outside might be better. But you want to know, you want feedback from your classmates to say, could they turn the handlebars with this basket in place? Was it safe enough for them to feel confident that they weren't going to crash? Did it keep the item secure, or did they bounce out? You can test things like that with your classmates. Starting with something very simple, you can use a 10-point scale, 10 being best. Did another student feel that this item was going to fit everything they wanted to put into it? Okay, they did. All right, so let's give it a score of a 10.
Okay.
Another student might feel, hey, I want to put my sneakers and my basketball and my baseball bat in the basket, and it's too small. So he might score it less. He might score it a 5. So if you take that information, you can try to make your product better and fit what more people want it to be used for.
Okay. I have a question for you, Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Since you test just about everything there is, we have a couple of students who are working to create like a room decoration or a model spaceship. What kinds of things should they test for? Should it just be more of a survey, or?
Well, no, they can start with, is it going to be really a decoration? Is it going to be something that just hangs on the wall, or is it meant to be played with?
Okay. Espen, do you want to answer that? Let me see if we can see. Is it going to be on the wall? Is it going to be on a dresser? Is it going to be something that you actually can play with?
It might be on, like, your drawers.
Were you able to hear him?
No.
Okay, it's good on a set of drawers, like to put it on top of a dresser.
Okay, so it is not going to be necessarily played with.
You gonna play with it, Espen?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, you want to look at things like, is it the right size to fit on a set of drawers? Is it going to be too large, too small? But going a step further, you can look at things like, is it toxic? Toxic means poisonous. Are there going to be paints or glues used to assemble this that if somebody does touch it, might not be healthy for them? We do have some problems where we encounter paints that are used that have certain chemicals in them that really are not good for people to touch. So you might want to keep that in mind when you are putting your product together, your little example of your spaceship, making sure that you use things that are safe for people, the glue, the paint, if it's going to be made out of plastic or if it's going to be made out of metal, making sure that it is of the right materials that people can be safe with. If it's something that could roll off onto the floor and break, you want to make sure that it's not something that's made out of, let's say, glass, that can become very sharp and hurt somebody.
And I'm also
Does
thinking,
that make any sense?
yeah, when you were saying that, and Espen, and I heard some things on the news this morning about toys being recalled, but I guess that the size of the parts would come into play. And
Definitely. If it's going to be really more of a toy that people are going to be taking and playing with and running around in the house like my sons do, then you want to make sure that if little pieces are part of that kit, that spaceship, that if they were to fall off, they don't get picked up by a small child and eaten, or an animal, if you have a cat or a dog or, whatever it might be. You want to make sure that nobody's going to get hurt, not just from playing with the item, but if some pieces fell off.
Okay. That's good information. And I know that there's a couple of us that can take a look at that because some of us are building toys and some of us are building models of things.
Okay.
And some of us are building the what is it? The bejeweled, the bedazzled mini waterfall. So they're going to have to make sure that everything's tightly secured.
Yes.
Okay. I do have another question because there's a different kind of product. One of our students, Abby, is making a designer pair of pants.
Oh.
So can you maybe give her some pointers? Because I know that there's more to it than just making them look pretty.
Oh, absolutely. You want to make sure that your sizing follows some sort of standard. If you're just making a random pair of pants for a child, you got to make them so that they fit kids. That's number one. Number two, things like the material selection. Are they going to be like jeans or are they going to be sweatpants? It's not going to be something that is going to make somebody itch. It's not going to be something that might wear very thin and be worn and torn quickly. If they're meant to be just a pair of sweatpants type of material, which is geared for people being active, you want to make sure that it actually does keep up to somebody who's running around. If the stitching is such that it irritates and causes somebody really to be uncomfortable, you want to make sure that that's taken care of. You just want to make sure that people are comfortable wearing the product so that they continue to wear the product and want to get more of it.
Does that make sense? Okay. Did I miss anybody with any different kind of things? James, you're making a game, right? What are you making? Okay. James is making a model graveyard.
Okay. Now, as a model, you want to be able to have pieces that will move and people can play with, right?
Nice and loud.
I have a couple right now.
I didn't get that, I'm sorry.
I have a couple right now.
You have a couple right now?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to make sure that people know how to use the game and how each piece works with the game. So you've got an extra step. Not only do you need to make the actual physical items of the game, the pieces of the game or the game board, but you also need to take it a step further and write directions, instructions to have people follow so that they know how to play the game. And once you have the idea, you then have to write that out and have people try it. You need to give them the instructions and say, hey, guys, do you know how to play the game if you read this instruction? And if your classmates have questions, you can incorporate that into your changes until you come up with that final set of instructions. That's going to be difficult, but I think it's something that you can do, and with all your friends helping you out, you've got a great group there. That everybody's going to come up with questions, and you can form a better set of instructions. But that's going to bring you a second half to your project.
Does that make sense? Okay. We do have just one more question, Mr. Regan.
Sure.
There is a group of young ladies. There's one of them, Tony. Tony is looking at you on the screen. You see the back of her head. She's actually looking at you, but not looking at you at the same. Not looking at the camera, if that makes sense. And Brooke, right? Wave, Brooke. Wave.
Oh, she's way out.
She's way back there. And then Nellie. And Nellie again. There, she turned towards the camera.
All right.
They are making something called a healing boot. And it is a boot that they want kids to wear when their foot or leg is injured to help make it heal. So I'm wondering, if you claim to make it heal your foot, should it actually heal your foot?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything that you want to claim with your product, it really has to deliver on that claim. We quickly go and find those types of items out in the market, and we will look at that said claim and try to verify that it does actually do as people want it to do. If it's going to help heal your foot, it shouldn't make your foot hurt. It shouldn't make it worse. It's got to give you a chance to actually improve on how you feel. And if it's meant for an injury like a cut, or if it's meant for a broken foot, it should really do as they want it to do. You can kind of find a difficult time testing it in that respect. You need people that have hurt feet. But it's got to fit correctly, and it's also got to work.
Okay. Okay. So maybe if it actually doesn't heal, it could be maybe a comfort boot.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. If you gear it as a boot that's going to be more comfortable when you're hurt, that's a little bit easier, and it could have that side benefit. It could also maybe help heal, but you might not want to make that full claim if it's not something you can actually test.
Okay. Thank you. And Ms. Fout had a question?
Yes.
Hi, I'm really close to the camera. Sorry.
Oh.
When they're testing their product, how big should their sample size be to make sure they're getting an accurate test? Do you know what I mean?
Well, it depends on what aspects they want to test. Really, honestly, the larger the better. I wouldn't go with just one or two classmates. I would start at least 10 if you can. If you can go as high as 20 or 30 students to test it out, the more information, the more we call data you have, the better things are. We have our own statistics department, and they always review things, and their claim is the more information, the more people you have seeing your product, the better it will wind up to be.
Okay. Does that make sense? Does anybody else have any other questions? Now is the time. Because remember, we want your product to make money. Fake money, but money just the same. Alec, we're going to donate it.
Oh, thanks.
You just have a model, but you just you have to find a way to get certain ways to get inside of it, because it's just a model, and there's you can't get inside, and ideas to get inside of it, but you just can't put all the ideas to fit in it. So should you just try to show them it, or tell them what you think?
So if you are making a product, it should do everything that you say it makes. Correct?
No. It should be
Yes, if you're making any sort of statements, any sort of claims about whatever it is you're making, If it doesn't do as you claim, that's going to be something that in testing we would identify and we would rate very low on our scale. So you do want it to do as you say it's going to do, whether it's going to be something that, like your buoy is going to feel very comfortable. Hey, this is going to feel great and it's going to help you heal. You want to make sure it does that. If it's a model that's going to a spaceship and you claim it's going to fly through the air, it really needs to fly through the air. You have to be clear as to claiming something and then actually making something that delivers on that claim.
Does that make sense, Alec? Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I actually have a question.
This is Mrs. Eisenhart.
Hello.
Hello.
You had stated that obviously the item should do what they're intending it to do. I'm thinking if it's just for decoration, should they say somewhere on the item for decoration only?
Oh yeah, if they can put a disclaimer, on let's say the box itself or the instructions, this is a decoration only, not meant to be used as a toy, or item will not actually fly, although it's pictured flying on the box.
Mm-hmm.
Anything such as that, just to make sure that people are aware when they are shopping, when they're going out to buy the item, that it's clear what it's meant for.
And they should also maybe list if there's parts that could be swallowed. There's smaller pieces that could be swallowed by younger children.
Any items have an age range for ages 5 and up, or small parts not meant for children under 3 years old. You might want to include some sort of disclaimer on the package indicating that, just to make sure that parents reading the box will know, okay, this is age appropriate, or I need to be careful with when I have my child play with this, that my younger child is not around. So information like that is very helpful to the consumer.
You gave us a lot to think about and a lot of food for thought, and you really opened my eyes, Mr. Regan, because I thought I had thought of some things and I haven't. So you gave us a lot of really, really, really good information and that we need to reflect on, and maybe we need to go back and think about and make some changes, which is part of the process, right?
Definitely part of the process, yes. That's a very important part of the product design process. You always want to get that feedback to make your item better.
Okay. If you don't mind, maybe we can share with you when we create our products and we do our testing, some of our results.
Absolutely. I'd love to follow up with you on that.
Okay. What do you say, third grade?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so, so much.
Not a problem. I had a great time. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.